Can't go a year without a bath. It's not healthy. And yuck. She's clean. What's up, YouTube? It started out a really nice day today, and I thought, well, I'll wash some bikes and just figure out what I'm gonna get into. And now it's supposed to storm and rain and be really bad all day, so. Either way, got the Tri-Z clean. It's been sitting here dirty. I don't ride it much because, one, it keeps getting water in the fuel and the tank's under the seat, and so I really need to get in there and fix that. And the suspension kind of sucks. It needs a little bit of work. By the way, the 50's still here. It's still up for grabs, so first person with $1,000, snatch that thing up. It's a lot of fun. Well, guys, this is our Pw50. We've had it for quite a while. It was my oldest son's, and now my youngest is about to be able to ride it, so we're gonna go ahead and go through it, clean it up, get it ready to run, order some training wheels, you know, that stuff. All right, I took it out and I hit it with a pressure washer, threw it on its side. Don't even care what I blow water into at this point because I'm gonna be tearing it apart anyways, and I'm gonna get in here and make everything clean, shiny, and ready to run. I'm gonna have to drain this fuel tank, pull this carb and clean it inside and out. Make sure there's nothing left in any of the lines that could come in here and gum up the carb, and get it ready for little Dilly. All right, this bike's been sitting for probably a hard 2 years, so what I should have done, I should have drained the tank, I should have drained the carb, I should have just had this thing ready for the next kid, but I didn't even know if there's gonna be a next kid. And I didn't know if I was gonna sell it or not, but I had hopes there was gonna be one, and well, there is one. So anyways, let's get to it. All right, I don't know if you guys seen that, but I pulled the petcock along with the hose that goes to the carb, so that way I control whether or not fuel comes running out. Usually you pull the hose off of it and it's just a big old mess, and this way it was clean. But it also kind of turns out that I don't think the tank has any fuel in it anyway, so I may have done right, who knows. Everything so far has been a 10mm socket. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off, the air box. It's also a 10mm. Just this one bolt here on the bottom. And now all I gotta do is take this little clip off of here, real easy. Oh, and pry this air box off. This one is a little bit stiff, but she'll come off just like that. All right, next we're going to pull our carb slide. Just one screw here in the top. And then pull that right out of there, sort of. Choke's a little hung, and actually, I think we need to replace this choke cable anyways. Pull this one little screw here. And our carb should slip free. Guys, this carb's pretty dirty on the outside. You don't literally have to clean the outside of one of these, but I like to do it because that way if I need to tune or work on it or mess with it or do anything, or if I just want to take it and sell it one day, it looks a lot better. While that carb's soaking in some cleaner, this is probably your only option, is getting this this air box out, because it doesn't want to come out any other way without like pulling a wheel or something, or maybe taking it apart in two pieces. I'm not sure. Anyways, good time to just pull the back off of this and pull your filter out and clean it. Ew, how did that even happen? All right, I tried to clean it and it kind of disintegrated. Apparently we put it up dirty, so I'm just gonna have to call Yamaha Harrison and get us a new air filter and a choke cable. So now we're gonna go ahead and take this carburetor apart and make sure that it's nice and clean and everything flows like it's supposed to. All right guys, bowl is off. There's a little bit of gunk in there, but for the most part she's fairly clean. We're gonna wanna soak this with a little carbon choke spray, break up any oil or residue or anything that's in it, get it nice and clean. I'm just gonna let that soak. I'm just gonna gently push this little pin out, pull my float and float valve. Then we're gonna pull our jets out. set them on the table. You're gonna need a little bitty screwdriver. You may even have to grind one down. I ground this one down years ago to get your pilot jet out. There we go. All right, guys, these actually look pretty darn good. You're gonna want to be able to take your carbon choke spray, blow right through them. If you can't, you're gonna want to dig some stuff out, try and clean it out real nice. You don't want to try and force something big through this. Guitar string, something like that, is usually pretty handy for these little bitty ones. But you don't want to change the size of this by accident. It is made of brass and it's fairly soft. But we're able to blow through it. And it's nice and clean and clear. No debris. So we're good to go. Okay. You're not going to want to change this because it's your idle speed. That's all it's going to do is control where your slide is sitting as far as the height, so it controls how much air is flowing through when it's at idle. If the spike was running good whenever you parked it, you shouldn't have to mess with that at all. Because I want to clean out the pilot jet screw, what I'm going to do is make a little mark right there. Take my skew jabber. I'm going to wind it down gently. Half, 1, half, and 1/4. So I got 1 1/2 and not even quite 1/4. So we'll go ahead and back that all the way out. There'll be a spring in there. Take that out. Now what I want to do is blow a little carbon choke spray in there. There could be an O-ring in some of these, not all of them. Don't want to blow it out or ruin it. Put a little bit in there. Make sure it's coming out here and out the back. Next, what I'm going to do is blow a little bit of air through it. So now I know that it's open and it's flowing. That's what you want. If you don't clean this one out good and you don't clean out your jets good, it's not going to run. It's either not going to pull fuel or it's not going to pull fuel and air at the right ratio, and it's going to cause it to be really stubborn and it's going to mess up your throttle response real bad. I also want to clean up the needle on here just a little. You don't want to put sandpaper or anything on here. You don't want to change this. If you have something so abrasive that it changes this right here, it's really going to mess you up when you go putting this stuff back together. You're basically just going to have to order a new one. So we'll drop our spring back in the hole. Put this back in. Gently run it all the way back down. So that was where I was at. So start here on the mark. Half, 1, half. We should be right back to exactly where we started. Blow a little air through each of these. They're both good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our jets back in. So it goes back down, face down. When you guys tighten these in, don't over tighten them. They are brass. You will break one off. You can't imagine how fun it is to get one of those back out of that hole. Main jet. It's a little snug. There we go. Now you want to make sure that your float valve is nice and clean. Some bikes, not these, have a little springy deal on the bottom of it, like right here. And if I had another one, I'd show you. I'm sure I have one laying around here. But anyways, they have a little spring tension deal, and If those aren't working, then your float's not gonna work right. If it's stuck in or something, so you wanna make sure that that's working. But on this, you don't have to worry about it. Make sure that your float valve is nice and clean and there's no damage right here. Like you don't have a ring or where it's been seated there for a long time. This one looks good. So we'll just put it back in our float. Make sure it's good and clean too. And we'll just drop it right back in the hole gently. Put our pin back in. These just sitting here loose, but they can't get out because your carburetor bowl, once it's sitting around the outside of it, it can't work its way out. Carb bowl's nice and clean. We're just going to take that, put it right back on there as it lines up. Throw our screws right back in it. And as always, whenever you're seating something, run everything down close and then just kind of work your way back and forth, snugging it until you get it all the way down. There you go. If you did what I did, then you did it. That's what doesn't seem like it to you, but I went to Yamaha, picked up some parts, so we can complete this today. Fantastic. They had the Yamaha brand filter already in, and so it comes pre-oiled, so I don't have to show you how to oil it. See all the oil inside of the package. Just take that, fit it in your air box gently. A little heavy on oil there on the bottom. I'm going to soak some up with a rag. And you just stick your air box back together. But you want to do it the correct way, not however I was doing it the correct way. Just like that. Run your screw in it. While we're at it on this little tune-up, we're going to go ahead and throw a new plug in here. We got a BPR4HS. That's what these bikes use. It had a 6 in it. I really don't know why. She's going to have what she needs now. This bike uses a cap that that won't allow you to leave this little I don't know exactly what you call it, little top on it. So just gently grab it, unscrew it. If you try and grab these really hard with a pair of pliers, you'll end up smashing it onto the threads and making it really hard to get off. Also, if you can't see the end of this little bolt and the end of this, then you have a plug that they'll make exactly the same plug that you can't take this little cap off of. So anyways, pay attention to that. Before we put this carb back together, we want to make sure our slide and our needle are very clean. This is an area you also don't want to stand on, bend, damage. If it's damaged at all, you want to go ahead and replace that. And you have your side here that has the little screw that I was talking about that you don't take out. That side is going to line up with this little divot. This little edge is what that screw touches to raise it up and down. Got to work our choke in there at the same time too. Put our screw back in the top. Grab a Phillips screwdriver, not a flathead. Now, if your carb slide didn't just go right in and slide right down like it's supposed to, and you had to force it, or you had to use a screw to push it in there, you've most likely already damaged it, but it should slide right into the hole the way it's supposed to go. There'll be no fight, no tension whatsoever. We gotta remember to put our air box back in the hole before we put the carb in the way. And then just slide your carburetor right back on. Something else I should probably note, this little cable right here needs to be above these two cables. Otherwise, it's gonna fight you and you're not gonna get this together. Make sure your carb is fully seated. That little mark right there, that little pin or raised section, it'll line up with your gap in your little clamp here. That'll let you know your carb's level where it needs to be. And just tighten it down. Next, we'll put the air boot back on. Tighten the bolt back down on the back of your air box. Replace your little clamp. And that part's done. I should note is that usually you have your little hose that goes right here, and that is your two-stroke oil. Typically these have a little pump and they feed two-stroke oil into the carb for you. It mixes it for you, but mine snapped off. I don't know if it was before we got it or what. I just know it was broken, so I keep that sealed off so it's not pulling any air or pulling any debris or anything into it. And we pre-mix this bike. Reattach your gas tank onto your bike. Just this bolt here and that rubber bungee. And depending on how you did it, if you did it like me, you'll have to put this screw back in here. We're ready to put our fuel line back on. If hoses ever fight you a little bit, you can take a little bit of carbon choke spray. If they're a little bit hard, they're still good, not cracked. You spray a little on the ends. It tends to soften them up and make them slide right on. All right, with that all connected, we'll go ahead and throw our seat back on. Bolt it down. We'll be ready to throw some gas in this thing and take it for a spin. So I got it full of fuel. So when I turn the fuel on, I'm gonna tap on the carb just a little bit while it's filling up. That's going to help with the float. Could be stuck, or if it's stuck down, just the first time, for some reason, when you clean a carb, a lot of times the float sticks. So just tap on it a little bit, and then you don't have to worry about it overflowing. If it does overflow, you did something wrong, you need to go back in and clean it up. Let's see if she'll start. You got to put it on start. I don't know why, but I hate that. I guess it's so it doesn't run off with a kid, but you got to start with start. And then you got to go to run. That's it. If yours doesn't do it, go back and repeat the steps. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks and God bless. Check you later.